welcome to Puzzled Parents. I'm always excited to be here, but I'm super excited today because we have our special guest, Miss Martha. Welcome.
Thanks, Susan. So happy to be here.
Why don't you tell us how you are affiliated with the autism world and what brings you here today?
All righty, good question. I taught special education for 16 years at the high school level. So I had students of all abilities in my classrooms. So I had autistic students. I had the whole gamut.
Nice. So, what would you see as being the biggest challenge for your students with autism?
Uh, Probably being too swayed by the opinions and beliefs of other students, wanting to fit in. I think that was
Mm,
definitely a big problem, and they could be easily swayed by the students who were not the best students. So whoever they saw as having being the most popular, they would fall into these traps. And then so that caused a lot of problems because of their social inadequacies and things. So they weren't able to navigate that too well, and they were able to be used and basically abused, unfortunately, by
mm.
too many students who were not of good character. So that's something that all parents need to talk to their students and their children about, and teachers always need to have these discussions too. Just because a child is popular doesn't mean that they're a good human being, and these are talks that we don't have enough with our children.
I could not agree with you more. I've experienced that with my daughter, both in school, but more so as an adult, because when they're an adult, especially when they move out into their own place, they don't want to hear what you have to say. And so they're going to act how they think they're supposed to act. They're going to get in with the people that they think are cool and, that are going to influence them. And my daughter actually got herself into a situation where she was being exploited and abused. And it got so bad to the point where the apartment people actually kicked all of them out
Wow.
because they were so bad. Not my daughter per se, because she had been there for almost 2 years and they knew her really well and they just adored her and they were trying to protect her, but she didn't want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the other people had gotten so bad to the point where they just kicked everybody out. And they came to me and they said, "Look, we're not supposed to do this, but we know this was not your daughter. And we're not supposed to, but if she wants to come back, we will welcome her back. But the other two are not allowed."
Mm-hmm.
And
This was
it
a
was really
big
sad
family.
because she ended up losing her apartment, and it was brand new. It was a brand new apartment, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, handicapped accessible, first floor, right across from the office and the pool and all that, next door to a friend of hers that we had known for years. I mean, it was perfect. It was beautiful. They had just built them, that it had granite countertop. I'm like, man, my house doesn't even have granite countertops. I'd live here.
Yeah, and the
Gorgeous. And
students
they
have
just
such
completely
big
trashed it.
hearts. Yeah, they have such big hearts and they care about others, and they don't realize that people aren't good. Many people aren't good. Yeah, it's really sad. We have a
Yeah.
family friend. He's in his 60s, and his family, he has his own place, his family pays for, and he has the same problem. He lets these homeless people stay with him. His family finally had to put their foot down and say, if that happens again, we're moving you out of the house. So
Oh,
he
yeah.
he kind of
Yeah. It's
figured
and
it
it's
out.
so tough because they don't want to hear it.
Hmm.
They it I they took her car and like they wrecked her car. They were basically starving her because they would take her food money and her food stamps and stuff. She was out with me one time and her quote unquote friend called her and said, "Oh, I want to buy you a birthday present. Give me $50." And she did it. She did it. And that's the thing. And also, to piggyback with that, I think they're high risk for falling for the scams. I know my daughter has been scammed a couple of times via Facebook Messenger. And the one person was absolutely relentless because after my daughter got kicked out of her apartment, she came back home for a couple months till we found her another place. And during that time, she got scammed out of her whole month's income because we weren't charging her, you know.
Wow.
And the late I got on her phone and I was like, look, this is her mother. You're gonna leave her alone. I don't want to see you on here again. I don't want to hear of you being on here again. Leave her alone. She's not interested. Go away. You know, and this lady was just relentless. And finally I was like, I'm gonna turn you in to the government on the fraud line if you don't leave her alone. And still she was like, oh, well, why did it? And I'm just going, lady, you're
And
messing with
Susan,
the wrong mama here. You better leave my kid alone.
this is such a good point for parents. You know what, parents? You need to go through your child's phone. I don't care if your child is an adult. If you have an autistic child or a child with a disability, you have to be their advocate for the rest of their lives. And no, they're
Mhm,
not going to like it, but you have to know all the social media they're on, who they're talking
mhm,
to on their phones, that you really have to stay up on it and pay attention. If your child's at school and they have friends at school, those friends,
mhm.
you need to meet those friends. You need to know
Yes.
who they are, where they live, what they're doing. Do not let your child go alone into a room with their phone and their games or whatever. It should always be where you can see it and know who they're interacting with and what they're doing and saying, no matter their age. Because, as Susan just made very clear, the dangers are just gigantic. And that's for gen ed kids. That's not just for special ed kids. That's not just for people
Right.
who have different abilities. This is for, this is for people who, seniors, people who 50-year-old people get caught in these scams, who have good jobs, who know what they're doing, who are educated. So imagine, our children certainly can't navigate that
Mm.
by themselves. So you have to, and don't feel guilty. So part of the problem is parents think that they're, oh my God, I'm interfering too much, blah, blah. When it comes to your child's safety and people trying to steal and use your child, there's no such thing as a parent interfering too much. So and you
That's
need to have these
exactly
conversations
right.
with your
And
child.
what my advocate used to always say is there's the three biggies: health, safety, and welfare. And when it
Ah.
comes to health, safety, and welfare, there's no, there's no, it's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
Health, safety, welfare, it's done. And
Mm-hmm.
I even kind of used that principle with my daughter when she would fuss about something when she was, still in school. I'd say it's health, safety, welfare. I don't bend on those. And then she'd stop fussing because she knew I don't bend on health, safety, or welfare. And it's it's a shame because they can be so easily influenced by other people. And
Mm-hmm.
my daughter, I know, tends to, and I don't know if you've ever seen this too, but my daughter tends to, she really, like we talked about, listen to those that are around her. But at the same time, she'll kind of pick one person to be like, oh, I'm mad at them. I'm never talking to them again.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Like, she did that with her father, who he and I don't see eye to eye, but I've always maintained that that's her father. That's not her fault. That's my fault. And I was never going to punish her or deny her that because I felt like she should have a relationship with her father. And I've always encouraged that. And so even as an adult, she's like, oh, I'm never talking to him again. I would say, hey, that's your father. Don't delete his number and do all this crazy stuff. You might want to talk to him someday and you need to make sure that you can. Well, then it went through a phase where she did it to my mom and she's done it to me. Well, I don't want to
Mm.
talk to you, that kind of thing. And it just kind of goes round and round. My challenge is that when it's aimed at me, there's nobody telling her, hey, don't delete your mom, because
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
the one that
Yeah.
always told her, hey, you might want to leave that avenue open for the
Yeah.
future. So
And
that's a challenge.
that's a
It
really
really,
good
really
point.
is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
And
very challenging. Yes.
I
So,
know that a lot of kids with special needs are developmentally delayed as well.
mm-hmm.
And if you think about that, the frontal cortex in a neurotypical person doesn't develop fully until age 25. How much longer is it going to take
Mm.
for our kids with special needs who are 5 to 8 years behind
Right.
developmentally? So you have that period where they're more of an established adult according to chronological age and society, but their frontal cortexes are not functioning because they're not fully developed.
Right.
And so now they're out there, they're getting all these influences from different sides, and it's very tricky to navigate. Very tricky.
Right. So if
Um,
possible, you
and
need to have a family member or somebody else who's an advocate for your child too, in case something happens to you, or in case, you're on the outs with the child, child decides that you're on the outs. There's still someone in the family that's on the ins with the child. So
right.
if
And
it's possible at all to try that.
right.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
And
And what I have done and what I teach my clients too is that you always have to think about what's going to happen when I'm not around anymore because
mm,
we're all finite. I set it up so that she has like Medicaid waivers with case managers and stuff like that. So that if something happened to
oh,
me, there's always somebody in her corner. Um,
that's really good.
so
That's really good. Yes, and the main thing for parents with any child, and which is what I go into in my book. Yes, you can raise happy, responsible children. Is when a parent says no, you have got to mean no. I have the
mhm,
3 L's of parenting. Love them enough to say no, and you cannot feel sorry for your child. If you feel sorry for your child, you are definitely putting that child at a risk and
mhm,
not helping them one bit. They need to step up to the plate just like every other person. They need to be able to use all their skills and talents. And if we keep helping them, they're not going to be able to develop. So I cover a lot of this in my book. Yes, you can raise happy, responsible children, though it was basically made for Gen Ed. It works. It works for children on the spectrum and everything else because, if a parent says no and then changes it to yes, what does that teach a child? What does that teach everybody? That all I have to do is keep pushing, keep pushing. So you have to learn to put your foot down. And then also you have to lead by example. You can't tell your child to not smoke, to not fall for things when here you are smoking and then talking to people who have poor character, and your child knows that you have this friend who's not a good person. Well, then your child becomes confused. So you have to be the leader. So lead by example. That's the second L. And the third one, and this is the absolute hardest for parents with children who have different abilities, the absolute hardest. Let them fail. You're going
mm,
to have to let them fail. Otherwise, they're not going to learn natural consequences and logical consequences. So, I mean, I'm not saying let them hurt themselves or lose their
right.
money or anything like that. I'm saying, they can't get into, they can't, a drawer won't open for them. Don't open it for them. They need to, they want the salt. Don't go get the salt. You let them get the salt. Let them experience and do things. Their seatbelt's not working. Give them a few minutes to do it themselves. Let them
Yeah.
fail and
That is so
encourage
important. And
them.
I learned that so much from my autism advocate because she said, um, we only have so much time that they're under our roofs.
Mm,
And during that time, if we don't let them fail, they can't learn to make it right.
mhm,
And that is so resonant with what you're saying. I think it's exactly spot on.
mhm, mhm.
Spot
And
on.
and you do have to be really careful with money because money is a strange concept, and the understanding that all the money's gone is weird. I mean, that's almost impossible to figure out unless, of course, you're paying the bills and
Mhm.
you don't have enough money to buy lunch or food and you're starving. That's the only time when money really has like this concrete feel to it. But otherwise, um, the, people don't seem to understand and get the full understanding of money. So that's something you really want to put into children when they're very young.
Right.
Stop paying for them. Make them pay for what they want. Don't buy them things. Make them work and pay for what they want. And you know what? A child of just about any ability can take out the neighbor's garbage cans. They can have a little job. An 8-year-old could do that, depending on how heavy they are. Walk the neighbor's dogs, pick up the dog poop. These are all jobs that any child pretty much can do and make some
Mhm.
money from, so that then if they want candy, if they want something, they have their own money, and they can learn that whole idea of money doesn't grow on trees. Money just doesn't appear. Mom and dad don't just give me the money. I have to have my own. That's very important for all children to learn. In fact, a lot of
Mm.
adults haven't figured that out.
It's funny you bring that up because I actually struggled with that myself because my parents wouldn't let me work when I was a teenager because they wanted me to be a teenager and have fun. And I didn't go out on extravagant things or anything like that. But if I go, hey, my friends are going to the movies, can I go with them? They'd say, sure. Here's a little bit of money. And so when I got out on my own and I had to budget and I had to it was hard. I
Yeah.
struggled because I didn't get an allowance. I just kind of got money when I needed it. And so I didn't learn that very skill. And I'm definitely neurotypical. So I agree with you so much. Like you have so many excellent points. What else can you share that you've learned with working with the special needs community and things like that? What are some other skills that you feel are imperative to becoming a functional, fulfilled adult?
That's a really good question. And I cover all this in my book, Yes, You Can Raise Happy, Responsible Children, which is available at Amazon. Um, you know, what you want to do with your children, encourage, encourage. So, maybe they can't tie their shoe completely, but they can put one lace over the other. Great. You're got it's a good start. You've got one lace over the other.
Mm.
Maybe they can't make the whole bed, but they can, pull up the sheet to a certain point, and then you can help them finish it. Great. You've got it up to here. Super. Would you like me to help you push it a little further? And always ask, would you like me to help you? Don't just stick your nose in there and do it for them or pull the sheet up or whatever. No, always when they're stuck, give them a chance to figure it out. And then you can say, would you like me to help you? And if they say no, go mind your own business and say, well, I'm here if you want me, just yell. But so let them do as absolute much as they can by themselves. Now, let's say you have a child, we'll give you an example. You're driving and the child takes her seatbelt off in the middle of the road, and you can't continue driving. You have to pull over and you have to stop the car and you have to say, we
Mm.
cannot drive. I can't go anywhere unless your seatbelt is on. And you will have to sit there until the child puts a seatbelt on. Because if you drive and the child doesn't do what you tell them, you're teaching them
Mhm.
to be mother deaf, father deaf, teacher deaf. You're teaching them that they don't have to listen to you. You must
Right.
absolutely must back things up. And when you ask a child to do something, say, here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen at the grocery store. I have to see you at all times. If I can't see you and you can't see me, and you have to be able to see me at all times, then
Mhm.
you have to sit in the cart. Do you understand? Yes. Do you agree? That's an important part. Do you agree? Then they have to say yes. And if they say no, you have to say, well, what don't you agree with? And have a whole conversation around that. And then
Right.
and even if they say I don't agree, then if you have to go to the grocery store, you have to say, sweetheart, you know what? In this case, it doesn't matter if you agree or not. This is how it's going to go. So, but save that for really important times. Anyway, so you're at the grocery store, the child runs off. Well, of course they're going to run off. The grocery store's a candy. Please, it's Disneyland. So, okay, the child runs off. You don't get all mad and huffy. You go to the child, you say, I see you decided to sit in the cart. Boom. Put them in the cart. Don't be mean about it. Just put a nice smile on your face and say, where are the bananas? Where's your favorite this? Where's this food? And keep them busy for the rest of it. Let the child empty the cart onto the conveyor belt. Let the child give the money or the credit card to the cashier. Let the child
Mm.
do as much as possible because you're keeping them busy. Boredom, and I'm going to use this word. Boredom is, they call it what? The devil's playground. And more people tell me, I do a lot in the recovery community. More people tell me they got in trouble because they were bored. They relapsed because they were bored. They drank because they were bored. Boredom is the devil's playground, and children get bored at stores. That's why they're grabbing stuff off the shelves. They don't have a purpose. Purpose is
Right.
important. What's the
Well, and you
purpose?
can even give them a list
Perfect.
beforehand.
Yes. Oh, that's excellent. And
Uh,
have them check it off, right? Depends on the
Yeah, and
age of the.
actually, tell them, you know, talk about something they like if they like peanut butter and jelly, like, okay, we're gonna get peanut butter, we're gonna get bread, we got to get jelly, and if we get these three things, then maybe you can pick something out. What do you want to put on your list for you as a special snack? And then kind of have them help look for it. And,
Cool.
as they're older, you can sort of talk about money and, you know, I'm giving you, you've got $10 to get something, and then as they're walking along, of course, a lot of kids have short attention spans. So as they're walking along, they see the $50 toy and they're like, "Oh, I want that." And I'm like, "Well, do you have enough money for that?"
Right. Then they can
Well,
move on to
no,
the
I only
next.
have 10
Yeah.
and use cash when you
Right.
can.
Yep. Use cash. Yep.
There's
And you
there's
have
that
enough money for
visceral and
that.
emotional response when you kind of hand something physical over like that. And then when it's gone, it's gone. So you can say, well, and sometimes for me, sometimes if she'd been really good and she was super close and all she was missing was a few, like a 10 cents for the tax or something, I would pitch in. But then as she got older, I was like, well, you have to calculate the tax. If it's
Mm-hmm.
$9.99, you have to have X amount of dollars because there's tax.
That's a
So
good point.
really, even though you have $10, you don't have enough to buy that because you can't pay the taxes.
Very good
And
point.
that can lead into other skills too. For example, well, we have this 10% off coupon. Well, how much money is that?
Ah, that's good.
So, what can you get if you save your 10%, then we can put the extra money into your savings envelope or something.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to do an envelope program. Didn't didn't
That
always
works.
work, but I tried.
That's a good idea. It's concrete. They know where it is. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. And you can put the numbers on the envelope.
Oh, and the other thing that I used that actually worked pretty well when she was younger was I had a kind of like a chore chart
Mm-hmm.
where if she did her chores, there were different things like if she did her chores every day without complaining, then she could fill in a circle on it was a just a thing I made up on the computer, and every square was worth 25 cents.
Oh,
And so when she got to a point, then she could go into the prize box and get a prize. And I just had little things from like, the Dollar Tree or little
good
trinkets and
idea.
toys or
Yeah,
gum or candy or whatever. But she knew there was cool stuff in the prize box. So if she could see it, if she knew, oh, I only have, two more things, and then I can go to the prize box and get a prize.
that's
And
that's
that
good.
seemed to work pretty well for a while. Obviously, things
Mhm.
people
And
develop and things change, and you have to be flexible. But
and all children should have chore charts every single day. Make your bed, and they should either check it off. They can have an electronic on their pad, whatever, and you put it all on there and they
mm,
check it off. But they have to physically, when they're done, brush teeth, get dressed, whatever it is that the child needs to do every day. And then there's the chores that have to be done, like at dinner time, or the chores for
right.
Saturday when everybody cleans the house, or however your family does it. um,
Mm.
yes, the child needs to visually see, and some children need a picture of the chore, so they
It's
need
funny
a
that you
picture.
mentioned that because I used to have different ones for my daughter. I had like morning routine, evening routine, but
Uh-huh.
my mom actually found, I don't know if you can see it very well on camera, but this one.
Oh, wow.
And
Call
sometimes
mom.
my
Thank
daughter would
you.
get off the
Yeah.
bus at her house. And so this was Graham's house stuff. She had to call
Wow.
me, put the key away, do her homework, eat a snack, clean
Wonderful.
up from her snack, and then she could relax. And these are little, we're missing some of the tabs, but I had little tabs for each one that have Velcro on the back because all I did was laminate it.
Oh,
And she'd have to
wonderful.
move it from pending to done.
Uh-huh. Great
So,
for using the
then it
Velcro.
became auditory because you can hear it
Uh-huh.
peeling
Wow.
off. It was tactile, but it was
Yeah.
also visual. And I had all different ones of these, and it didn't cost me much, just paper. I laminated it myself.
Uh-huh.
And this was years ago when computers aren't like they are today. So,
Mm-hmm.
like the picture was the same as the
Very
picture
cool.
on the
But you
thing.
can
And
go to Etsy probably and get somebody to do it for you, or you can just Google, chore chart, whatever. Or you can make
oh
your own, like
yeah,
you said, taking
yeah.
pictures, laminating using Velcro. Good idea. That's
Yeah, I
very
just bought the
effective.
little Velcro dots,
Uh-huh.
like at
Yeah,
Walmart, and
right.
just and I laminated it myself because I have a laminator. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, I just printed it out, laminate it, and then I print out the icons, laminate that, and cut them out, put the
A
little
lot of
dots on. I
libraries
mean,
have
it.
laminators. So you can get, if we need something laminated, it's pretty cheap. Go to the library, they'll do it for 50 cents,
Yeah,
40 cents.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, super cheap, super
Yeah.
easy. And I had people coming to me like, oh, make me. I made some. I made one for a grandma who wanted me to do one for her granddaughter about the sequence to washing your hands
Ah,
and the sequence to
wonderful.
toileting. I had
Yes.
used one for my daughter for showering, the steps to shower, breaking it all down. You can, they're endless. You can
That's
use it
really
for so many
hard
different
too.
things.
Breaking those things down is hard. People have no
Yeah.
idea all the steps it takes. Like you said, to take a shower. How about just to brush your teeth?
Yeah.
Walk to the sink, turn on the water. I mean, and really, is that even
Yeah.
first turn on the
Yeah.
water? Don't we have to get the tooth? Really, you have to really think this through.
Yeah.
And
And that's where my background in therapy kind of came in handy because that's
uh,
what we're trained to do. But teaching that to other people, like you're saying, was a challenge. And you can use it for just about anything. I had one
yeah.
person had me make one because their child couldn't tell the passage of time and the timer things weren't working, even the
Uh-huh.
color timers.
Uh-huh.
Like if she knew that they were going somewhere in 2 hours. She'd
Yeah.
come up 50 times, says the time is the time. So I made them a color coded chart, and every color was a certain amount of time, like the same amount of time. And
Mm-hmm.
because there's the two columns, she could kind of track, okay, it's been let's say 5 minutes. Okay, it's been 5 more minutes. Okay, we have 4 more times of 5 minutes and it's time to go.
Oh,
And
wow.
so that
That's
kind of
great.
helped with the whole, is
Very
it time yet?
helpful.
Is it time yet? Are we going yet? Are we going
Oh,
yet? It's
yeah.
time to go yet. What
Yeah.
time when are we leaving? So it's really a simple tool, but can
Uh-huh.
be very, very helpful.
Uh-huh. And oh, and there's something else I want to talk about before we go. I have a lot of children, their misbehavior has a goal behind it. Most people's behavior, there are four goals. There's attention, there's power, revenge, and then display of inadequacy. I just can't
Mhm.
do it. And a lot of parents don't know how to figure out what their child's goal is because we need to know what the goal is in order to change the behavior. Well, I made a
Right.
workbook. I don't know if this will called the
Oh, okay.
mistaken behavior goal workbook. And anyway, it's $15, but what you do is you can tell by how you feel the child's behavior and then the child's response. So if you're feeling annoyed and the child, okay, temporarily stops but resumes the same behavior later, that the child's goal is usually attention. And then this workbook goes through all that. It tells you what the child's goal is, what your feeling is, how to tell it, what to do about it, and how to change that behavior. So that's something that I have, and I'll put a link to that. We'll have a link to that in the show along with the book.
Awesome. That is so cool. Any tool you can have like that is so helpful.
So
And
helpful.
there's so many people that are developing those now, which is amazing because I know back 17, 18 years ago when my daughter was finally diagnosed, this stuff wasn't around. We
Right.
kind of made it up as we went along.
Exactly. There wasn't very much, that's for sure. Yeah.
So what made you decide to write your book?
Well, when my son was 4, he was rotten spoiled, and we were miserable. A child who's in control is an unhappy child and a scared child. Everybody was miserable because he wouldn't take no for an answer. So I had to
Mhm.
figure out how to get that child to be cooperative and to take no and stop pushing, 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 pushing. And I did. I did. It took me about 4 to 6 weeks. We got him turned around. He became a very pleasant human being. But I'm telling you, everything I learned, I put in my book, and it's all the stuff that I used when I taught child psychology and also when I
Mhm.
taught high school special education. Everything in this book are the same techniques I use there, telling children what to do rather than what not to do. Little tips like that. Having those talks with them, having the classroom meetings or the family meetings before things get out of control. Encouraging them, not saying you're the best. Do not tell a child they're the best at anything. You're very good at that. You're one of the best I've seen, you could say, but there's no way anybody could be the best at anything. It's impossible. That puts too high standards on, too high expectations. I see how you're really doing that. And then when they fail, you say, you know what? I see you trying. I'm so glad you're trying.
Right.
It's only if we don't give up that we can win. But once we give up,
Right.
that story about the baseball player, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, or the
There you
basketball
go.
player. So all that kind of stuff is what's in the book, and it's only 60 pages. It's just boom, boom, boom. It's no theory. It's all tried and true um, things that techniques and tools that I used.
So, thinking particularly about our audience, which is parents of kids with special needs, what would you say is the number one thing for them to keep in mind?
Okay, parents, one day at a time, one day at a time. And you remember, you are important. You cannot, you're in a state of burnout almost all the time. So you are going to
Mhm.
have to sit down and figure out, how am I going to be able to navigate this and stay sane and be a strong person for myself and my family? So you have got to start figuring out who your helpers are, who can help you, what you can do in a pinch, what's going to happen. You're also going to have to think about the possibilities. What are we going to have to do if this happens? What do we do if that happens? And I know it's difficult and it's aggravating, but it has to be done. So you're the parent, you're in charge. And a lot of your children have a lot of difficult behaviors, but if you persevere, you'll get through it, and don't give the child his way. When you say no, mean
Right.
it. So before the word comes out of your mouth, the child asks you for something, you have to think, okay, if I say no, am I going to stick with it? Will I stick with it?
Right.
Do I have to say no this time? Can I say yes? You have to really, and sometimes, you know what, don't answer. Say, I can't tell you now. Let me think about it. That's one of the biggest things
Right.
a parent can say. I need to think about that. I will tell you the answer tonight. I'll tell you the answer tomorrow. I can't tell you right now. Even
Right.
if a child pesters you, I can't tell you. I have to think about it. Don't feel rushed into things because you have enough to deal with.
Yeah, that's great advice. And it does work too. I know if my daughter would come back and keep bugging me, we called it badgering. I'd
Uh-huh.
say, what
Yeah,
happens if you badger mommy about something? You say no.
that's good. See, exactly. Good. That's why, yes. So you gave her a reason to give you the time. When you said, I need the time, you taught her, yes, I am going to take the time. And if you don't
Yeah.
let me, the answer's no. That's good. Use that
Yeah,
technique,
yeah.
everybody.
So great advice. Well, Martha, thank you so much for being with us today. It has been a pleasure. And everybody can have the QR code behind you there for your book. You can find it on Amazon. And just thank you again. And y'all take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day. You can catch us on Phoenix TV and on YouTube. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel as well. All right. Thank you, Martha.
Thanks, Susan. It's been great fun.